reason it would be important is specifically targeted at young Latinos, African Americans, different minority groups whose histories are oftentimes left out of the standard traditional histories or politics or whatever understanding of society. Would make a huge difference in the kind of not just the quality of education, but also in retention of high school students, their success in high school, right? Boosting their morale, their success. I think it would lead them to want to be more curious and learn more about their history, go on to college, learn more about who they are as a people, and give them more incentives. So I think it would be all around a very strong, it would only strengthen the curriculum of high schools and prepare students for a broader understanding at the university level.
I think that Arizona is a good example of why it's important. They had an almost 50%, I'm sure both of you know, almost 50% dropout rate in Arizona. They were looking for a targeted way to increase the graduation rate of Latino students. And I'm sure, as you both know, that they had a 93% graduation rate, which was more than the white students.
Having an ethnic studies program at a high school, the presence of an ethnic studies program would be very powerful, and it would give people access to, theories and books and authors.
And ethnic studies is an entire different lens on looking out on how the world is, and I feel like it is very important because, you go to high school, you pretty much get a gist of everything, little pieces of everything, and I feel like ethnic studies is literally the epitome of that, because you learn the other people's story in relation to history.
I think society does, I think that this is a societal thing, and I think also I think that white students benefit from it too, and so I think that Allport's research. Allport has that big, huge book on prejudice, right? And his research shows that learning the history of another group brings those groups closer together, right?
Everyone. Those that don't believe in ethnic studies will learn from it. Those that are hurt because of the lack of ethnic studies will gain from it. I really don't see a downfall within ethnic studies.
I think that just like, minority students, students of color, white students will be greatly served by learning about different struggles of different groups in society. Oh, man, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that we've made as a society in a long time.
Its presence is empowering, and by having it taken away, it's like you're having some power and representation taken away from you.
How can you understand Latinos in the U.S. without knowing what we bring from where we come from, why we left, what are the connections that are maintained, whether they be economic, social, political, or other kinds, familial ties that are there? And how can you understand Latin America without understanding the role of the Latino community in the United States, in the role that we play in U.S. foreign policy?
First of all, it has to have theory. Ideally, it would have classes as you went deeper into the major and into the theories that would teach you what you can do to change these problems.
I feel like a program like that would entail having literature in a class where literature focuses on ethnic studies, the other side, looking at looking at the founding of America, for example, and looking at it from the Native American point of view, the British's point of view, not just the victor, not just whoever won and is writing the story, but just also the person that lost.
Education and incarceration are both highly correlated, and so it's important on a lot of levels, but it's really important in terms of incarceration, especially for men of color. If this makes students more engaged in school and increases the graduation rate, we would expect to also see a drop in the incarceration rate for men of color.